Welcome to the official release of the Megabass 5-inch Magdraft. Let's get into this and some of the other amazing products we got for you guys on this week's episode of The Drop. How's it going, guys? Travis here from Tacklebros, and welcome to The Drop. This is our weekly 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. This is where we sort of, gather everything together that's coming new in the shop. We break it down for you guys, show you all the new colors, the new products, everything like that. As always, I'm joined by my good friend Ashton, aka, well, I was gonna say your first and last name, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't. So this is Ashton at QTR_46. We should hit him with your middle name again. Hey, by the way, you got off easy last week because I think I set the bar a little too high for getting your you in that
calendars,
little calendar action. So
the double down here.
I'm not gonna double down, but you got off easy. So we're gonna have to figure something else out for you to pay me back for that bet. But that would have been pretty funny to see you in a calendar. I think you're about 100 likes shy, so
we can still get there.
Yeah, I mean it's possible, but I'd like to do it sooner or later. We're already in February, so now we're missing 2 months. Like it's gonna start to get weird, right? So if you guys are interested in following Ashton, who posts once annually, QTR_46, our main Instagram account, as well as our almost all of our social medias, is going to be at Tacklebros Fishing. Everything's going to be linked below, as well as my Instagram account at Tackleprez. So make sure you give us a follow so you can stay up to date with all the new stuff coming in. We've really been working lately on putting out some awesome reels on Instagram. It seems to be the best way to get out to everybody. So head on over, check out some of the stuff that we got on there. You usually get a sneak peek of at least 1 or 2 things that are going to come out in the drop. Like this week, we sort of let everybody know, I don't know, a couple days ago that we were going to have the 5-inch Magdrafts, and that's where I'm going to start off this week, is with the 5-inch Magdraft. So this is a product that we've been waiting a very long time for Megabass to come back out with. We used to get Magdraft in the 5-inch, what would you say, man, once or twice a year usually?
Once a year.
Yeah, so, and not a whole lot of colors. Like some of the colors were maybe a little bit, I mean, there was great colors, but there was also some colors that it would have been nice if they were added. And I think they've almost went a little too far with the colors.
Maybe.
But I kind of like it. You know what I mean? If you're not familiar with a Magdraft for whatever reason, pretty much everybody at this point should have or should be throwing a Magdraft. If you're in an area like us, I feel like a lot of people in Canada, sort of in our region, think 6-inch is a little bit too big to catch smallmouth. Smallmouth with smallmouth, I guess that's
makes sense. Math is
math. But me and you have gone out plenty of times and just absolutely wrecked them on the 6-inch. Now, would I have liked the 5-inch sometimes?
100%.
Yeah. So I'm excited as all can be about this coming out. Now there's 19 colors, which I think there's 19 colors. We're going to run through all of the colors for you guys, but I'm going to sort of break this down for you. So the Magdraft is a harnessed soft plastic swim bait by Megabass. The color I'm holding up here is going to be PERCH 2. I'm going to show you the difference between PERCH 2 and PERCH 1. What an upgrade. Basically, you're going to have 2 different rigging options. So this sort of configuration that I have here, you're going to see that the hook is sort of tucked up into the body. So this is basically what happens. This is good. So when you hook up with a fish, when the fish eats this basically takes away all of the leverage that they generally would get from having, a single hook or a mounted treble hook. This is going to take away all the leverage. So it's going to be free spinning. It's going to have a very nice swivel on there. So you're not going to have to worry about that. And the hook that they've chosen for this is actually a really, really nice, I don't even know. It's like
beautiful.
It's beautiful. This is a little bit heavier
style of hook.
Yeah, it's a sick hook. You're not gonna have to replace this one, I don't think. That was option 1. This is option 1. I think this would be option 1. So this is the magnet setting. So in the belly of all these, there's gonna be a little magnet, and this is one of the points that they improved from the previous version. A lot of the times the magnets would fall out. They've basically harnessed in this magnet a little bit better, so magnets falling out should no longer be a problem. But option 1, you're just gonna magnet it like that. I would say this is the better setting if you're fishing in open water. So you're just casting and winding. There's not a lot of, cover, brush, anything like that around. You're gonna have the least amount of opportunities to get snagged up. Now, if you're gonna skip this, you're gonna fish around a little bit heavy cover, there's some grass in the area. What you're gonna wanna do is, you're gonna take this hook, you're gonna take one of those treble points, you're gonna stick it up into the belly slot that they've provided. It's gonna go in like that, and you're gonna end up with it looking like this. Now, if you're skipping it, this is gonna be a much better option because it's gonna keep the hook attached to the body of the bait so that while you're retrieving it, it's not just kind of, you know, dangling around. Hopefully what will happen is if it is doing that for whatever reason, it'll just kind of snap up into place with that magnet and it's going to keep working fine. But I would highly suggest burying that hook into the belly. The slot's already there, you might as well use it. A couple other improvements that they've done in this. The previous version of the 5-inch, I feel like, I'm not sure if it was too light or just something was maybe slightly off balance, but the speed that you had to retrieve this at was like, it was almost so slow that it was almost not fun, but it was effective, so you just kind of had to do it. This one, they've solved that, so you can retrieve this at a little bit more of a normal rate. You can kind of have a bit more of a variable speed. It's gonna be a lot more stable. You're gonna have stabilizer fins on the outside. It's just gonna be a lot more enjoyable to fish and easier to fish. So Magdrafts, I mean, this style of fishing, you don't really have to input a lot of action into it. So when you have to do stuff like, you know, really slow retrieve on this, it kind of takes away from the fun of it. That's not going to be a problem anymore. It's going to have all the same action as the, you know, 6, 8, 10-inch Magdraft. So it's going to have that nice tail walk. It's going to have a little bit of a head nod. It's just a phenomenal, if not the best, one of the best soft plastic pre-rigged, or, you know, in the 6-inch if you want to throw a freestyle swim baits on the market, hands down. This thing is, it's lights out anywhere you go, and they've really covered anywhere you are. There's a color for you. If there's not, I don't know what you're fishing for. It's got to be something crazy. Like the color selection on this is wild. That all being said, I'm going to start breaking down the colors for you. We're going to be here for about 4 hours because there's 19 of them. Yep. And I'm going to start off, actually, dude, can you do me a quick favor? Can you grab me that 6-inch in the perch color? So just so I can show them the level of depth they went through in making this perch 2 color, because in my opinion, this might be one of the best perch swim bait colors ever made. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So this is perch 2, which you can see is a really beautiful, more natural looking perch. You're gonna have some orange hits just underneath the gill there, which is great. You're gonna have, you know, a little bit of orange here, a little bit of orange on the tail. It's gonna have more of a goldish green hue, which to me, that's what I like. If you guys know, I mean, we've done collaborations with Megabass where ours is more of a gold green color. I feel like that's more of a natural perch color. It's gonna have some reddish flake in there just to give it a little bit more of that orange color. It's more of a copper flake. I think red was maybe the wrong way to put it, but it's very subtle, so it's not too in your face with that. This is their previous perch color. So this is the old, you know, perch color. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not this, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, this is
phenomenal.
Like what an update, I'll say, right? This is still a great color. It's just, this is just more natural to me. So coming out of the gate, perch 2. I feel like that's everybody in the shop's number 1. We just live in an area with a lot of perch. So this is gonna be Ghost Shad Solid. So a nice, there's a couple different, you know, white profile ones in there. This is gonna have a heavier silver fleck. We'll have white back shad. Now I'm taking all these out of the package so you can get a really in-depth look at the color profiles, because some of these have some really cool color shifting, what's the word I'm looking for?
Additives.
They have some really cool color shifting properties about them. I think that's a better word. So that's whiteback shad. This is a great color, available in tons of the other ones. Ghost chartreuse back. So this is a really interesting color. I think we're gonna call this the Pike / Walleye Classic.
I think so.
Yeah. It's gonna have an awesome red pearl, kind of pretty defined in the belly region. Chartreuse back, blue, and then you're gonna have a little bit of purple, you're gonna have some orange, so basically the whole spectrum of the rainbow. This is a cool color. Silver shad. Now this one's really cool. You'll notice that as I'm turning it here, it sort of has like an abalone feature to the inside. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you'll notice there's like a scale pattern. It's like an Aurora Borealis.
It is an Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little color shift that they've included in here. In certain lights, there's a lot of pink to it. In certain lights, there's some gold to it. It has an amazing sort of darkish back into a clear belly. This is one of my favorite colors that they've come out with in this. Yeah, this is a dope one. This is one of the more solid colors in the lineup. This is a new one in the Magdraft. This is Celeste, so more of a, I don't know, silver shad with a blue stripe. It's a very solid color, so if you're looking for something to have like a lot of volume in the water, this is going to be a good one to look at. Pink Shiner, so this was part of the previous lineup of 5-inch. You used to be able to get this and that. Kisyu Ayu, so a nice little Ayu pattern. You can always tell, a lot of the time Ayu patterns will always have that little sort of chartreuse dot on there. If you ever seen an Ayu, it's one of the most beautiful fish I've ever seen. Really cool fish, actually. I'm not gonna get into it, but they're sweet fish. They basically only eat other Ayu. Like, they're so aggressive in their territory. Ayu attack other Ayu, and that's how you catch Ayu, is by throwing Ayu baits.
Oh, yeah.
Next up is going to be Aurora Shad. So this is really similar to the albino pearl shad, except this is going to be coated with a sort of blue iridescent on it. Really nice color, sort of, I don't know how to explain it. It's just beautiful. Like, as it kind of hits different lights, you get the blue. Sometimes it's more clear, sometimes it's more solid. Yeah, dope color. Ablet. So this was actually a Bassmaster Classic exclusive color, if you remember correctly.
I do remember correctly.
Yeah, so this was available, was it last year's or the year before?
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so this was a Classic exclusive in the 6-inch. So they've brought that over to the 5-inch. Pretty cool color. Next up is going to be Brownie. So this is sort of a staple in the Magdraft lineup. It's a really natural color. Next up, Gilco. Gilco's actually cool. I have a little story about Gilco. I messaged Megabass before I ever had a store, like 8-10 years ago, and I was like, what color is this in a Vision 110? They only made it in a high float. Now they make it in everything. That's basically when I started. Now they make it in a 5-inch Magdraft. This is a dope color, man. I love this color, dude. Why are you laughing at me?
It's a sick color, man. I've just heard the story 20 times.
Well, yeah, because you're hanging out with me every day. Maybe everybody on here hasn't heard the story.
Maybe.
But my love for Gilco.
Until we hit 20,000 followers?
Yeah, that's when I need to start considering telling stuff twice.
Yeah.
Borealis Shad. So this is another great shaddy color. This one's, again, this is another one of those ones where Megabass does that trick to you. Like, when you look at it, it looks very, like, when I'm looking at it out of the light, that belly looks completely clear with a purple pearl on it, and then it comes up to the light. You guys can't even see it because I can kind of see what you're looking at. On my side, it looks yellow. Like, the whole bottom looks like a very light chartreuse. Again, just another, Megabass with the tricks, man. Baby bass. So this is a really cool color. I think this is one of the least produced one in this for some reason, because we didn't get very many of them.
I've never been on a baby bass bite, but I know a lot of people have, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a natural color for any sort of forage.
Looks kind of goby-ish.
Yeah, I could see that too. We're gonna have Stealth Rainbow. Great color. All right, next up is gonna be MB Gizzard. This looks great in the 5-inch. Also available in other Magdrafts. And then last but not least, El Clasico. This is Albino Pearl Shad. So this is, the #1 selling color always by a lot. It's just a great color anywhere you're fishing. It's a little bit more solid. It's gonna have a purple reddish pearl to it. Just a great color. Gets bit everywhere. Yeah, 5-inch, 3/4 ounce harness in the head. Just an amazing fish catching bait that's gonna work anywhere you're fishing for almost any species you're after. The new 5-inch Magdraft, now available from Megabass at Tacklebros.
Yep.
All right, last from Megabass, we're gonna have a really tiny restock. Not a restock. This is basically me letting go some of the ones. I know most people have had their orders at this point. I'm actually gonna speak to something about some of the US orders after this, but SB PERCH, handful of each of these is back in stock. Thank you guys again for the support on these. Now, during the time, right around the time that the SB PERCH came out, there were some regulations that got changed in the US for shipments going to the US from other countries. This has sort of put a delay on packages from about February 2nd. I would say that first week-ish of February. There's been some delays on that. I apologize. It's sort of out of our control. We're trying to do, we're talking to UPS every day. They basically had a backlog because of no one really knew how to deal with the regulations with stuff coming into the US. And that's from all over the world because the regulations basically were applied to everybody. So it created a giant backlog. Now, orders that came after that first week, I mean, there has been very little to minimal problems, I'll say. And as this starts getting, a little bit past that little area, everyone's going to get more familiar with the new processes that have kind of been put into place, and the shipping sort of slowdowns should go away. I do apologize. We should go back to our normal, get your baits in I don't know, 1 to 4 days. I think that's pretty fair to say, right?
Yep.
We usually ship pretty fast. Most of the time, the orders are going to go out right away. I know last week, because we did that sort of double bubble sale, the guys were a little bit overwhelmed in the back. So again, I apologize for the little bit of delay on that. Just thank you for working with us and being understanding. I know they've been working. I mean, they've been staying a couple extra hours every night just trying to get caught up on stuff. The guys are working hard back there trying to get caught up, and I do apologize for the shipping delays. Shouldn't be an issue going forward, and thank you guys so much for understanding. All right, one quick thing from Shimano before we get into a couple new brands that we've brought into the shop today. Vanford 2000s. Now, something that I'm usually reserved to bring in is a 2000 size. A lot of the times it's like a little bit too big for ice fishing, a little bit too small for bass fishing, but a lot of you have been requesting to bring in more 2000s because a lot of you guys are throwing ultra light, small, tiny little drop shot baits, and the 2000 is the perfect size for that. So if this is something you guys want to see keep coming in, I only brought a handful of them in, but Vanford 2000 is now in stock. All right, we have a little special collaboration that we decided to bring in from Japan. This is going to be the Daiwa TW105H SLP Works. Now, if you're left-handed, ignore this part because they didn't even make left hands in this, I don't believe. But this is a pretty cool little Daiwa SLP collab, and we're actually going to do it for a pretty special price. So this is, I mean, it's a Tula. You're going to have a cool SLP Works hit on the side there. You're also going to have an SLP carbon handle, and then you're going to have the SLP sort of rubberized cork grips. You're going to have an SV spool in there, if I can get it into frame. Bambi.
I'm so sad I'm left-handed.
I know, dude. Really, really dope reel. I think these regularly retail for like $2.99 Canadian. We're gonna do them for $175 Canadian. I don't know what that converts to the US. $139 US.
That's crazy.
Sounds about right. $139 US, $175 Canadian. Small handful. A bunch of the guys in the back decided to buy them, so there's only a handful of these left. But if you're a fan of SLP, you're a fan of Daiwa, this is a really cool one to get. 7-to-1 gear ratio, I should also mention that. 11 ball bearings, 195 grams, 5 kilogram drag. So there's the specs from that guy. All right, let's jump over to Seaguar Japan. So we've decided to bring in some of their R18 fluorocarbon lines. This is the R18 Bass line. So this is their version of a do everything line. This is basically would be the core of your fishing line. You'll have some specialty stuffs over here and some specialty stuff over here, but Seaguar sort of came out with this R18 designed to sort of fill the majority of everything you're gonna do. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in the middle there's gonna be a little sticker. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but that's gonna be the halfway mark. So these are 160 meter spools. The halfway mark, there's gonna be a sticker in there, 80 meters, so you know you're at exactly halfway, so you can, spool up a couple reels if you'd like. I think we have from 5-pound all the way up to 20-pound in this guy. Awesome premium JDM line from Seaguar, now available in stock. We also brought in the R18 Limited. So this is the more premium version in the R18 lineup. They've basically built in a bunch of, double structure technology. There's anti-twisting technology. It's going to have great abrasion resistance as well as great knot strength, which a lot of the times those two things don't really match up. You're either going to get really good abrasion resistance and not great, joining knots if you choose to use joining knots, or you have to use a certain knot on the ultra abrasive resistant lines because they're not as supple. But they've managed to keep this very supple. It's a very premium line. We have it from 5-pound all the way up to 14-pound. Really cool one from Seaguar. 100 meters of line in this one. So basically one spool for one reel. check these out now. All right, next up is a brand that I'm really excited to bring into the shop now. How do I put this? So this is a brand that I've had sort of on my radar for quite some time, but how things work in Japan, you almost need to, slowly build up inventory and SKUs over the course of about a year. I basically tried to wait it out and it just never worked out. So we're gonna start off with bringing in a couple products from the brand new brand for us, Issei. So, you guys might be familiar with some of this stuff. This is the Lyre Minnow from Issei. We're gonna have the 3-inch and the 4-inch versions. Now, the Lyre Minnow is a really, really cool minnow bait. Weird that the name would be called that. And Issei does something with these that I actually really enjoy. Now, I've used Lyre Minnows for quite a number of years now. Number one, they're very durable. So it's not elastomer, but it is like a very stretchy-ish material. This is gonna be great for drop swimming, something we do a lot up here. The tail is sort of a wedge-style paddle tail, kind of, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's gonna have a couple segments here. Now, the cool thing that I think Issei does is they include realistic eyes in the package. You guys are gonna hear me talk about this more and more. Realistic eyes on minnow baits for me is almost like it's a deal breaker. If it doesn't have realistic eyes on a lot of, realistic minnow profiles, I'm probably not gonna look at it. I just have built up confidence over the years with baits that have had realistic eyes, and now it's sort of instilled in my brain that it's kind of a deal, right? I mean, we've had a ton of success, throwing tons of baits like this where I can't get away from the fact that I need to have realistic eyes. So another really cool application for this is mid-strolling. I don't know if we can find the video of this, but if you guys hover stroll with this, it is one of the easiest baits I've ever used to work, to have that back and forth, side to side, and then drop swimming. Those are kind of my two, 1A, 1B. With this, for me in particular, I like to do a proper, nail, hover hook, which we're gonna talk about some hover hooks here in a bit. That's sort of my number one way. And then number two is just nose hook, drop shot style, drop swimming, give it a long bomb cast and just kind of work it slowly back to you. There's only a handful of colors. Now, Issei is gonna continue to expand for us over the course of the year. Basically how a lot of things in Japan work is there's a production schedule and they sort of build things once a month and then you can build up from there. We've already done this with brands like OSP. So I've become a little bit more familiar with it. At first, I mean, we've been looking at Issei for what, 3-4 years now? Yeah, so at first it was a little bit foreign to me, but now I've just realized you kind of take what you get at the start and then you just sort of build off of it. So I'm gonna run through the colors on these really quickly. Again, 3-inch and 4-inch in the Lyre Minnow. So we'll do the 4-inch first. This is the first one. This is gonna be reservoir bait. So a nice natural bait fish pattern. AK Smoke. Kozakana Worm. What a name.
Big name.
And the one that I was holding up is gonna be Wakasagi. So really awesome color there. So those are the 4-inch, and then the 3-inch, we're gonna have Weed Gill, Reservoir Bait, and Wakasagi. So those color lines will expand and we'll just keep bringing in new colors as they become available. Next up, we're gonna have the 3.5-inch caramel shad from Issei. Now, this is a really, really cool swim bait concept. You would think that, I mean, looking at the colors, you would think that it's supposed to be rigged like this, but this is actually the bottom of the bait. So the tail is right there. It's designed to be fish flat. What that's gonna do is give this bait a ton of wobble in the water. Also, because it has more of a flat surface, it's gonna be able to stay up in the water column if that's what you're trying to do. So it's gonna have a lot of different applications. Now, the tail at the back, you're gonna notice is pretty small for how fat the body is. That's gonna give it a more tight wobble action as it's coming through the water. So if you're trying to keep it more even keel, this is gonna be a great option to sort of mix in. Now, they also make some amazing colors. It's a soft bait, but it's softer, but it feels rugged, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've sort of been playing around with this in here. I haven't had a chance to throw these yet. Obviously, we're in the middle of winter, but I know this is a cool one. Watched a ton of videos on it. Great sizing in this. So this is the 3.5-inch size. We're also going to introduce the 4-inch and the 5-inch size whenever they become available. let's run through the colors on these pretty quick. Yep. All right, so that first one that I was holding up is going to be Murakami Special. We're also going to have Reservoir Bait. These are also going to come 8 to a pack, so pretty good amount of swim baits. They're all clamshelled, so you know those tails are going to stay straight. Again, something I look for in larger swim baits. I'm not so worried about in some of the smaller ones, but the more round a swim bait is, I want the tail to be more perfect, right? And then we're also going to have Gripin Chartreuse, which is basically green pumpkin chartreuse. So, and then finally Weed Special. So just a handful of colors in those right now, but again, as production becomes a little bit more available, we're just going to keep adding to it. Now, last but not least, this was actually one of the products that I was most excited about. This is going to be the Bibibi Bug from Issei. So I'm going to actually open up one of the 2.6 inch size because that was sort of the one that
we looked at.
Yeah, the one we were more excited about. There's some really cool bug baits out there. This is definitely going to rank pretty high for me. I should have opened the bigger one. I didn't even think about camera. It's okay though. This one's mine now. Basically for me, I'm going to throw this on the back of a finesse jig or like a micro jig. This is a 2.6 inch size, so it's going to pair pretty well with all of them. Now, one of the key things that I really liked about this is sometimes it's not always good to have a big bulk profile. This is going to be more of a slender profile. You're also going to have those paddle style or dolphin style appendages at the end there, and they're made in a bunch of great colors. 2 different sizes, 2.6, and then you're also going to have a little bit bigger 3.2 inch size. So mini jigs, you're going to be covered in there. These will also be great on like a Ned rig. Again, sometimes it's not always great to have things super high float. If you're throwing like a Ned, what sort of look for? Like a Ned football style of bait, these are going to be a great trailer for the back of that. This is the one that I think me and you really spent the most time talking about and looking at and sort of playing with. I'm going to start with the 2.6 inch. That first one that I was showing you is going to be Guripon Blue, so basically green pumpkin blue flake. Really, I mean, familiar color, right?
Oh yeah.
If you guys throw the cinnamon blue in the Raid Igudama, which is one of my personal favorite colors, that was kind of what sparked this for me because I'm always looking for new sort of trailers, and there's not a lot of good ones that have that similar color if I'm trying to pair it up. This is a really good option for that. We're going to have Numa Shrimp, so a little bit of a more clear green pumpkin.
Yeah.
Guripan Chartreuse, so green pumpkin chartreuse. Basically just good colors. They didn't, I mean, fortunately, we didn't buy like a bunch of like random colors. For whatever reason, this one's called green pumpkin and not Guripon. Sweet. That's in the 3.2. You're going to have your green pumpkin chartreuse in the 3.2, and then you're also going to have the sort of green pumpkin blue flake, Guripon blue flake, aka cinnamon blue flake in the 3.2. So check that out from Issei. Also, we brought in a handful of their jigs. I'm not going to deep dive in these because we only got like basically green pumpkin and black, but the Akrubber Jig Jr. So this is the smaller downsize. I think it's on a #1 hook. Just in 9 gram for the time being, but I think when we get a better stock on these, we'll have a little bit more of a deep dive conversation. But if you're a fan of Issei jigs, we got a couple in stock. Lastly, from Issei, we only brought in 1 hard bait at the moment because that's pretty much all they had. This is going to be the Zari Vib Jr, and we're also going to have the, so this is the 57 size and then the 67 size. Now, in full disclosure, I'm not a huge lipless crankbait guy, right? I don't throw a lot of these. There's just not really a deal here. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys catch him real good on a lipless crankbait. I've never really found that bite. Now, I was hanging out at St. Lawrence River one day. We were talking to some guys, and he goes, man, this guy just whooped us throwing like this weird little cross-shaped lipless crankbait. And I started thinking, who makes a really good cross-shaped lipless crankbait? And it was Issei. So this was the bait that this guy was absolutely lighting up the St. Lawrence River on. I grabbed a couple of these and had a couple absolutely amazing days just throwing this in and around isolated grass piles out on the Great Lakes. I don't know if this is going to become like a staple in my lineup, but definitely something that I'm going to have on the boat as situational. You know, as fishermen, like you always hear these little rumors and stuff and you have to run out and buy it. I got caught by this one, but it actually works, so it's pretty cool. Handful of colors I will run through for you guys really quick. It has a really nice sort of heavy, high-pitched bead sound. They're going to be half ounce, by the way. So these ones are going to be half ounce, and then this one is going to be just shy of 3/4 ounce, so the 667. And yeah, that's a Zari Bug. I don't know what else to say.
That's cool.
It's just an ultra realistic craw-looking lipless crankbait. I mean, you can't get any more realistic. It looks like a craw sort of bundled up. Right?
Oh yeah.
Really, really cool. Sort of reddish huey eyes on this one. I don't know what they all have pretty cool eyes. So that one that I was holding is going to be red Hara black. It's like a natural dark craw color, right?
Fair.
Decent amount of red to it, but overall sort of a darker craw profile. The opposite of natural, King Kudo. This is a staple color though, man. I mean,
it is.
110, I threw that King Kudo for like ever. It's basically gold and orange. It works everywhere. American crayfish, so freshly boiled.
Oh yeah.
And then Gin Kudo, so sort of a silverish looking color there. And then in the 67, just one color for right now, Murakami Shad.
That's cool.
That might be the best one. So that's it for Issei. Again, it's just going to keep building over the course of the year. It's a great brand, something we've actually looked forward to bringing in for a long time. So yeah, go check out Issei. Okay, so another new brand that we've decided to bring to the shop, one that maybe you guys have heard of, Valleyhill. Now, Valleyhill didn't have a lot of stuff that we wanted. So what we decided to do was sort of team up and bring you guys a couple really cool deals from them while we sort of get in a lot more of the other stuff. The first product that we decided to bring in is the Valleyhill Jaco-Bee. Now this is a hand-poured soft plastic sort of minnow imitating bait. Basically, they throw this on a ball head and it's gonna have a really subtle tail action as it falls down. Really, really effective way to catch them. You can throw this on a trailer, you can throw this on a free rig. It's just sort of a do everything bait. Now, the best part about the Jaco-Bee from us is if you buy this package, I'm gonna give you this package, this package, this package, and this package, all for the price of one. So 5 for 1.
Wow.
It's a good deal. It's basically like a little bit of an introduction. If you're not familiar with Valleyhill, you can sort of get introduced. There's a million different things you can do with this. This is a hand-poured JDM soft plastic. It's not gonna have a lot of crazy action in the water, but you can do a lot with this. Now, the first thing that comes to mind for me is just throwing it on a little ball head, swing it back to you, or just letting it sort of shimmy fall down. This tail back here is designed to just have very subtle motion, so not an aggressive, thumping or anything like that. This is more of a subtle presentation. Another thing that this is going to be really good at is going to be Ned rigging. I don't know if you can see here in the head, it has a little bit more of a darker plastic. I don't know if they've put more salt in there, but in my experience while using this will sit head down, tail up, and it looks sort of like a little, minnow bait eating off the bottom. Really, really effective that way. It's also great on a drop shot if you want to rig it up with an EWG hook or if you want to nose hook it. It sits pretty buoyant because I think the back end is a little bit more buoyant, not buoyant, but neutral floating, yeah. Whereas the head is a little bit more dense. So there's a lot of different things you can do with this. Buy one pack, you're gonna get the entire lineup of Jaco-Bees for free. If we run out of one of the colors, I'm just gonna substitute it with another one, and you'll end up getting 2 of probably one of the more popular colors. So if you guys are just looking for a plastic that you can do a ton of stuff with, and you wanna experiment, and you don't wanna spend a lot of money, I think it's gonna be 5 packs for $10 US, so averaging it out about $2 US a pack, and it'll be like 13 bucks Canadian. So really good deal from Valleyhill to sort of set off our future of having their products in the store. Now, with this, we've also decided to do a BOGO on the collaboration that they've done with Lucky Craft on the LV200. So I'll go through what is the collab part on these. You're gonna notice there's a little blade on the lip of this guy, okay? LV series of lipless from Lucky Craft. Even though we don't carry Lucky Craft here, if there was one bait to carry from Lucky Craft, it's an LV500. It's probably the best lipless crankbait ever made. And then the LV200 is sort of the younger brother, Let's put it that way. And then they collaborated with Valleyhill to create this sort of bladed chin on the, I guess, the reboot version of it. So there's only 4 colors, 72 millimeters, 18.5 grams, 4 colors to choose from. Some are a little bit crazy, some are a little bit normal, but BOGO on them anyways. And yeah, that's gonna be it for now from Valleyhill. Now we have one more item, which this was a tough one for me. Now, I use this product.
Yes.
But some of the products that I use, I don't necessarily understand them. This is one that I did understand. So this is the one that I chose to bring in until I can really figure out the difference in the other stuff. This is going to be the grease from Glitch Oil. Now, Glitch Oil is probably the most premium oil grease product that you can get for, just servicing your reels for yourself. Now, this is not like a really exciting thing to look at because it's just grease, so, but there it is. So
nice.
I mean, this might be the worst thing we've ever shown on camera. If you look up Glitch Oil, you'll understand why I say it can be a little bit confusing. They have like 9 different oils, and each one individually is tuned to do something very specific. I think I got like 3 different colors, and I'm just kind of like mixing them up and putting them on my stuff. But the grease that they have does work very good. So I chose to bring in the grease. I'm going to learn the oils, and then we're going to bring in the oils, and we'll have the full lineup of the Glitch stuff. But for now, the grease is available in stock. The stuff isn't cheap, but taking care of your investment, like reels are not cheap. This is going to be a lot cheaper than buying a new reel. I'm pretty lucky. I kind of live down the road from Shimano and down the road from Daiwa. But if you aren't as lucky and it's kind of across the country for you or something like that, you can easily maintain your reels for several years before ever having to send them in to get serviced. Like me, I just kind of beat them up. And if one's kind of middle of the season starting to act up, I'll throw some grease, I'll drop some oil in it, make it all shiny new again. Then I go, that one's going in for service at the end of the year. This can really prolong that and help keep your investment, your reels, working for a lot longer, and just maintain them for, instead of buying a new reel every year, you buy a new one every 10 years, or when a new piece of technology comes out that really speaks to you. So Glitch Oil, something that I've been trying to get actually for a really long time. Like, how long do you think? Like,
at least three and a half years.
It's been a while, man. So happy to have this in. Once I start to figure out all the craziness with all the different oils, we'll bring those in too. Last but not least, from Gamakatsu, we've done a full restock on the Horizon head LGs. So we're gonna have 1/0, 2/0, 3/0, 3.5, 4.4, 5.2, 6.2. Pretty much all the sizes are back in stock. This is one of our best-selling mid-strolling jig heads. It's gonna have a little bit of a wider gap compared to the owners, compared to the Ryugis. Like, it's just, if you're struggling with hookup ratio, give this hook a try. They also make like a 3.5 gram, so an 1/8 ounce, all the way up to a 3/0, which is really nice, and they make it down to a 1/0. So you can really size in depending on which plastic you're using. This is one of my favorites. Probably, I think this is my A1 for the most part. Yeah, so these are back in, and then we got another restock on the Horizon jig hooks. If you're into hover strolling, which is where you spine hook and then you put a nail weight into the nose of it, this is going to be one of the only ways that you can get a 1/0, a 2/0, or a 3/0 hook in an actual dedicated hover strolling. For the most part, I'm sure you've seen number 1, number 2, number 3, they get really, really small. If you're throwing stuff like a 7, 6, 8 Sakamata shad, you at least have an option to be able to spine hook it, because sometimes it's, these are, if you're running heavyweights, run them on these. If you want to try to do something, mid-C, right?
Yep.
Yeah. The ball head and the heavyweight, it's just not really my favorite. I love spine hooking them though, so something for you to look at. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully you seen something here that piqued your interest. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to reach out to us on our social medias. Again, everything is linked down in the description. Give us a subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Like, comment, all the YouTube begging stuff. So thanks for hanging out with us this week. We'll see you guys next week on The Drop.